We don't have any of the council members on yet, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Are all the interpreters on screen? Becky, we always ask the interpreters to be on screen during the, because we just want people to know that the service is available, and also folks know just how many languages are spoken in the Commonwealth. So I know it might be a little bit unusual, but if you're able to do that, I'd appreciate it.
We're at 9:30. I think we're still waiting for some council members. I see that Caroline is joined.
Caroline's on.
Yeah.
Hi, Caroline. Good morning.
So did you want me to start the webinar, or did you want to give a few more minutes?
Why don't I say my piece that comes on right at 9:30, and then
Okay.
I'll give them a couple extra minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna hit start now then.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Tom. Hello, you have entered the Zoom room for the Environmental Justice Council. Please hold for a moment until more attendees have arrived and we are ready to begin the meeting. All attendees must select a language channel, even if viewing the presentation in English. The buttons for selecting a language channel or American Sign Language are at the bottom of your screen. Closed captioning has been enabled for this presentation. If you would like a translated version of the presentation slides, please go to the Environmental Justice Council website at the link in the chat. You will find a translated set of presentation slides there. Val, I see we're still waiting on a few council members. Is that right?
I believe so.
Good morning, Marcos. Good morning, Kalila. Good morning, Lydia.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi, Melissa. Two people will not be attending today, Madeline Cook and Cheryl Hawley, and Ari Zorn will be a little late. He'll be jumping on at 10:05.
Good morning. I couldn't find my mute.
It's very early. I was just saying before everyone came on, please remind me not to schedule another one of these at 9:30 a.m. on the Monday of a holiday week. I don't think we're at quorum yet, so I feel like we need to wait just a couple of minutes. Val, what I think I might do is run through the logistics of the Zoom meeting and then give others a chance to jump on. Does that sound okay?
Yep, that
Okay.
works. Okay.
Okay. All right, let's do that. So we need at least one more person to be a quorum, so that's what we're waiting on. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 6th meeting of the Environmental Justice Council, whose members are appointed by the Governor's Office to advise the Secretary of Energy and Environmental Affairs, also called by the acronym EEA, about ways to promote and achieve environmental justice principles at the Commonwealth. I am Rishi Reddy, the chairperson of the council and the director of environmental justice at EEA. In addition to myself, we have Deputy Environmental Justice Director for Internal Agency Coordination, Valerie Cardozo, who is monitoring the question and answer function, also called the Q&A function. And we also have Carlene Lemoyne, our Deputy Director for External Stakeholder Coordination. You will also see on the screen the interpreters in 6 spoken languages and American Sign Language. We also have several state staff and members of the public in attendance today who are registered to observe and comment on the deliberations of the council. Next slide, please, Val. So we're running 7 simultaneous interpretation channels in a Zoom webinar format, and we'll take a few moments now to review the logistics, agenda, and take roll call. This meeting is being recorded and will later be available for viewing through a link that will be posted on the Environmental Justice Council website. That website address appears in the chat. I remind the council members to please only use the chat function for meeting logistics and no other communication. That's so we can be in compliance with the open meeting law. Next slide, please, Val. This presentation is available with interpreters in Spanish, Portuguese, Mandarin, Haitian Creole, Vietnamese, and Cape Verdean Creole, and American Sign Language. Please speak slowly, everyone. Otherwise, the interpreters will not be able to keep up with you. All participants must select a language channel at the bottom of your screen, even if viewing the presentation in English. Otherwise, English language viewers will not be able to hear interpreters when they address the council in English. A last reminder that translated versions of the presentation slides are available at the link on the Environmental Justice website. Next slide, please, Val. I ask members of the public to save any oral comments to the council after the formal presentations. We will have a time for taking questions then. You can also submit questions in the question and answer box, which will also be addressed after the formal presentations. If you have a question regarding the clarification of meeting logistics as we go along, please type that into the Q&A box and we will answer it directly and immediately. Next slide, please, Val. I ask all members of the council to please put your name in the chat so we know that you're here. And here is the agenda for today. Does anyone on the council have additional issues within these topic areas that they would like to highlight at this time? No? And Val, could you just help me out? I can't see everybody on the screen on my computer right now, but do we have a quorum?
I believe so. Did you want to wait to do the roll call, or did you want me to just call out?
What?
who
Why
we have?
why don't you take roll call right now, just so that we can make sure?
Okay, Caroline Hahn,
Here.
Marcos Luna,
Here.
Kalila Barnett,
Here.
Melissa Ferretti,
Here,
Peter Matthey.
Here.
Lydia Lowe,
Here.
and I believe those are the council members we have in
That's
attendance.
okay. Yes, we do have a quorum, and thank you so much, Val, for doing that.
No
Okay.
problem.
The draft minutes for the October 27th meeting were emailed to the council members, so you'd have a chance to review. I'd like some feedback. Does anyone have any amendments that they'd like to make to those minutes?
This is Marcos. I think we should make a motion to approve first.
I just wanted to hear, Marcos, if everybody was in agreement that the minutes had captured, those draft minutes had captured everything that had occurred at the meeting last time.
Okay, sorry. No, I thought we motion and then second and then we discussed, but okay, I do have a comment though, too. So I appreciate the inclusion of the public comments in the minutes this time as well. I do want to ask also, is it possible to include the names of the public commenters as well in the minutes? I think they come in on the chat.
Yeah, I can do that. I just wasn't sure if I was able to include that.
Any other comments or ways that we should amend the minutes? Thanks for that comment, Marcos. So I would like to open the floor for a motion to adopt the minutes with the one amendment that Marcos has made for the future and also for the past set of minutes, which is that we would include the names of members of the public who are making a comment. With that amendment, do I have a motion to adopt the minutes?
I'll motion to adopt the minutes.
Thank you, Melissa. And do I have a second? That was Melissa Ferretti for the.
Yes, sorry, Melissa Ferretti, I move.
I'll second. This is Lydia Lowe.
Thank you, Lydia. So I will take a vote by roll call under the rules of the open meeting law. A simple majority vote in favor is required to pass. So let me run down the list. Kalila Barnett, please.
I approve.
Caroline Hahn, please.
Approve.
Marcos Luna, please.
Approve.
Peter Matthey.
Approve.
And I believe it was Melissa and Lydia who had moved, and I also vote to approve. Thank you. Okay, next slide, please, Val. So we have a number of announcements today. They all refer to EEA's draft environmental justice strategy, which is now out for public comment. Our first listening session for this strategy is scheduled for December 15th from 6 to 8 at the UMass Amherst Center in Springfield. The address is 1500 Main Street. We will be providing interpretation in Spanish and Portuguese. And if other languages are requested, please make a request to the email that's posted in the chat. Thank you, Val. So there are two emails there. One is for interpretation services, another is for reasonable accommodations. In addition to this in-person session, there will be another session scheduled for January 19th from 6 to 8 at the Bowling Municipal Building in Roxbury. The address for that session is 2300 Washington Street. Interpretation will also be provided. This meeting was originally scheduled for November 28th, but has been rescheduled to allow for greater lead time for preparation and planning. There is no need to register beforehand for the in-person sessions. In addition to these 2 in-person sessions, 2 remote sessions are scheduled for the daytime and evening of January 10th. The first is at 10 o'clock. The second is at 6 p.m. Those sessions require pre-registration at the link that's now being posted in the chats. And although they are for the same day, they have 2 different registration links for the 2 different times, and those appear right now. Thanks, Val. If you would like to submit written comments, they will be accepted until 5 p.m. on January 27th, 2023. And that date has been extended by 2 weeks from the original date of January 13th. Please submit comments by email to the link that now appears in the chat. And written comments may also be submitted by postal mail to the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, 100 Cambridge Street, Suite 900, Boston, Massachusetts, to the attention of Carleen Lemoyne, who is our Deputy Director of Environmental Justice for External Stakeholder Coordination. And that address also appears in the chat. Thank you for getting all those up. Next slide, please, Val. So before we begin on the larger topic of our comprehensive analysis of the EJ population definition, I want to spend a few moments on the EEA draft EJ strategy and the manner in which the EJ Council could add to the statewide discussion on the strategy. The first thing I'd like to address is the content of what this council can contribute. And the second thing pertains to the process by which we might do so. So these are proposals. In an email, I had suggested to you all that the draft strategy could especially benefit from the council's deliberation on 3 issues that I highlighted together with Carleen and Val, the deputy directors. And it would be also great to hear of other topics that the council themselves think we might highlight now that you've had a chance to take a look at the draft strategy. So the first of these questions that I thought we might address is, what metrics should EEA agencies use to measure progress in advancing environmental justice? So identification of the appropriate metrics is identified as a priority in each of the agency strategies for their own, tailored to their own uses. The second question that the EJ team had identified is, what other EJ-focused initiatives should exist in common across the agencies throughout EEA? Some things that are currently identified on the strategy are a commitment to language services, internal EJ staff training, a commitment to diversity in hiring, weighted criteria for EJ neighborhoods when it comes to the distribution of grant money, and other pieces that are sprinkled throughout those strategies. So that is a second question that I thought we might focus on in our review. And a third question was, with respect to your own areas of expertise, the 12 members on this council, to think about which agencies work in your areas of expertise and what considerations are missing there in what those agencies have highlighted as part of their strategy. So at this time, I just want to open up the floor to see if there are any other questions or issues that the council members want to highlight as subjects on which we should focus when we're looking at this strategy. And we will do so not so much in this meeting, but when we really deliberate on it in the next one.
we have a hand raise, Khrushchev, so I believe, oh, accident? Okay,
Okay.
never mind.
Were there any other questions that the council members thought we might look at in the strategy as part of our review in a deliberate way, in a specific way? No.
Lydia's hand is up, and then
Well, maybe it's implicit in what you already listed, but I think that in addition to looking at the distribution of grant money, I think it would also be kind of looking at department expenditures, which are not grants. And I bring this up, for example, because, recently our community's been involved in a conversation about soil remediation at this site, and in which we made a very reasonable request and we're told, oh, well, that might be beyond our budget. If you're willing to wait a few more years, maybe you can get that done. And it just made a lot of people really angry and questioning, how is our community being treated the same, as other communities in terms of, expectation of what's a reasonable expenditure.
So Lydia, can I ask, I think that the added dimension there is you're looking at it in a comparative aspect, not just on what the straight expenditure is, but compare it to other expenditures throughout the state. So that sounds to me like you're actually incorporating a disproportionate type of analysis. Like, is it proportional to the number of people or the space? Am I reading all of that into your?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think it would have to start with an analysis of how expenditures are being made for, by departments in different, throughout the state and communities throughout the state.
So your proposal then would be that every agency includes that type of analysis, that includes a commitment to doing that type of analysis as part of their EJ strategy.
Yes.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Okay, if not, then I think I will move on to the second portion of what I wanted to talk about with the strategy, which was that, so thank you for that, Lydia. I will, take note of those. I will add that on to the list of questions that we can consider specifically and send them out in an email to you all so that we can have a record of them as we go forward with a more substantial discussion at our next meeting on December 13th. So I want to take a couple of minutes to propose a process by which the EJ Council can consider the strategy and have you all weigh in as to whether this is a good way to move forward or whether you would like to see some additional steps. With the comment period closing on January 27th, we have 2 meetings other than this one to formulate comments before the end of the comment period. So that meeting is December 13th and then another on January 26th. So I would propose that we spend some substantial time at the December 13th meeting to deliberate on the strategy. And I would also ask that the council members spend some focused time before December 13th, individually reading and assessing the document. And that you would then send me some individual feedback that I could consolidate, that EJ team and I at EEA would consolidate into one document. We would then prepare and share this document before the December 13th meeting, so we could discuss each item at the meeting to see if, we want to make any amendments, people can agree on the content. And then based on that December 13th discussion, the EJ team would prepare a second document with a list of comments. And the goal for that second document would be to build a consensus around what's listed there to submit as comments from the EJ Council. I would share that document for discussions, amendments, and a vote at the January 26th meeting. So I'm wondering if the council members have any thoughts on this proposed process. Caroline, I think I see your hand up.
Yes, Rishi, I'm supportive of the process. I think it makes a lot of sense. If we have clarifying questions along the way, is that something that we can again reach out to you for, or does that need to actually happen in public, in the public meeting setting?
I think you can go ahead and send an email to me or Val, and we would be able to answer those clarifying questions for sure.
Okay, great, thank you.
Just wondering if any others have any thoughts on this. I'd like to take a straw poll on whether folks like this process or not at the end of this discussion, just so we know that we're going forward on that. I'll wait a few moments more to see if folks have any other comments on this.
Peter's hand is up.
Rishi, so again, also I'm supportive of the approach generally. This gives us, just over 3.5 weeks to get this turned back around to you. If you are to compile and redistribute or just before the 13th, when do you need the comment back by? That's my first question. Ideally.
That's a very good question, Peter. So the 13th is, I'm trying to look for a calendar here. I think I would need it, 4 or 5 days before. So we could, the 13th is a Tuesday. So if folks could send me those, your input by the 6th, I could turn it around by the 8th. Is that not enough time? Or I'd like some feedback on what, how much time would the 6th give you enough time, Peter, and everyone to look at this pretty substantial document? 140 pages. Would the 6th give you enough time if you sent that in to me and I turned it around?
I think my second question might help me answer that one.
Okay.
In the event of questions, who is our primary point of contact? Are we asking specific people's particular subject matter experts? Can we go outside of this panel here? What are the parameters we need to operate in if we have any questions?
Well, you could certainly send any questions to Valerie and CC me if you'd like. And are you anticipating that they would be subject matter type of questions where it would need to go beyond the council? Is that the type of thing that you're thinking about?
Unsure, probably unlikely, but I just wanted to plan for that in the event that I need to say that we need more time. But right now, December 6th seems reasonable, but I just wanted to understand how we operate just to be comfortable.
This is related to another question which has come up from time to time, which we haven't yet addressed, is what do we do if we need subject matter experts? If we need to consult with experts. And I would anticipate that at some point down the line, we could always call in folks from the task force that we need. But Peter, why don't we say at this point that if those questions come up, please send them into Valerie and CC me, and then we can see there really are the type of things where we need to pull in somebody else. And perhaps we could have those people visit the December 13th meeting, if that's what we need to do.
Perfect. Then December 6th seems reasonable to me.
Okay, does that seem reasonable to others as well? If folks could get me their input by December 6th, I can turn that document around for our meeting on December 13th.
This is Kalila. That seems fast, but reasonable given when our next meeting is going to be taking place. My other question about the process is, in the email that you sent to us, you do note that maybe we could use part of the December 13th meeting to